to our guy, Teddy Covers, coming to us live from Las Vegas, Nevada. Teddy Covers, how are you doing on this Thursday morning?
Are you kidding? How am I doing on a Thursday morning? Dude, NFL starts tonight, okay? We've been waiting for this for a long time. I feel excited. As you're supposed, it doesn't matter how long you've been in this business, dude. The opening night of the NFL season, your fingers tingle a little bit, your toes tingle a little bit. I'm pumped. How about you?
I'm so excited, but still, I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm just going to watch and learn. I'm not going to keep making the same mistakes that I've been making. It's just that simple. But obviously, seeing you and Donnie Rightside on the Bears -3, of course, it feels like the water is pretty nice. But then, Big Ragu here on the Packers and +3 and dabbling a bit on the money line. Lamont Williams there making a max bet on the Packers. It just makes me want to sit back and study. And that's what I'm going to do on this Thursday night. Football is so exciting that this Thursday spot here, I do not need to make a move just to scratch that itch. I do not need to, and I keep telling myself that over and over and over again, so I'll believe it, because I do want to have a bet on the game. Teddy Covers, we have our $50,000 Pick 6 contest that I know that you are going to be in. Have you made your 6 picks yet?
I have not. And in fact, thank you for reminding me. That's something I got to do today. No, I haven't done that yet, Jimmy. But I got to say this. You're saying, I don't want to make the same mistake. I don't want to make the same mistake. I don't want to make the same mistake. That's what you're supposed to say. That's smart. That's how you get better at this. And it's not like you're an amateur, Jimmy. You do this every day. I do this every day. So it's not like we're jonesing for action. All right. I don't need more action than I have. And I can watch a game without making a bet on it. There are plenty of times that I do that. Oftentimes on Thursday Night Football, I do that. But in this instance, I just felt like the Bears defense is being undervalued in the betting markets. And, a couple of buddies here in Vegas, I talk to a lot of people. That's what I do all day. I'm talking and on my computer and talking and on my computer. And just about everyone I've talked to among the wise guys, serious bettors that I communicate with on it, they all like the other side. They all like Green Bay in this game. There's a lot about the long-term angle of the division dogs in week 1. There's a lot of the Bears were an overachiever last year and they're primed to come back to earth. There's a lot of the Packers with a new offense and a new head coach are going to be better. I don't know that I agree with any of that, but that's the mentality from the wise guys here in town. And they're very surprised. A couple of people I talked to where they thought this line would be 3, maybe, and might even go down to 2.5. And the fact that it's holding at 3 with juice with Chicago tells us there might be a little bit more wise guy support for the Bears than we initially would have thought.
Yeah, no, that's I find this tricky. Very, very tricky. Tormarino said people don't respect the Bears because they don't respect Trubisky. Bears defense is far better than the Packers. Big Ragu saying no Trey Burton tonight. Von Polo on Green Bay Packers first half money line. That was a play I nearly made about a week ago, was taking the Packers early. I am not going to do that. Let's switch gears right now from this big opening game in the NFL to afternoon baseball. Teddy Covers. We have Phillies,
Sure.
Reds, White Sox, Indians, Tigers, Royals, Giants, Cardinals, and Angels, A's. I ended up with a winning day yesterday in MLB. And I'd been having a couple tough days in a row, so I want to keep moving forward. But these afternoon games concern me and make me uncomfortable. I am, though, backing Brett Anderson in the Coliseum and the way the A's are playing. The A's going up against an Angels team that's going with the bullpen day, or at least an opener before Suarez. I think Suarez gets touched. I like Anderson at home. I like Anderson against the Angels. I'm on first 5 -0.5 and full game -1. But that's my only action on these afternoon games. Teddy, do you have a spot on this afternoon baseball card that you're looking at?
Jimmy, you and I are looking at the same thing today. The only game that I considered an early action that I seriously considered was Oakland. I didn't pull the trigger, but I certainly wouldn't talk you out of it. What scared me off of that was Anderson's splits in terms of day-night. He hasn't been as good at all in his daytime starts. And at that price, I was a little bit concerned. If I was going to take the A's, I'd take a -1.5 at basically a pick 'em. Or a -1 even if you wanted to do, if you want to split your wager that way. But Oakland's the only way I could look in that game, and it's the only one of the early games I was interested in. And the night game, I was almost tempted to take a shot with Milwaukee, just because I mean this is the Brewers, this is their World Series. If they don't win this series, they're done. And all the talk, this weekend matters, tonight's game matters. So and then I talked myself out of that one too. I didn't make any plays in MLB for today, and that's what I do a lot, Jimmy, in baseball, especially at this time of the year. I'm going to give myself a short list, the games that stand out to me, the games that pop off the page. And then when you do your research, it's not like I'm putting the same amount of time into baseball now that I was putting in April and May and June. You're not. The focus is football here. So MLB, you're looking for stuff that jumps off the page. And then when you're diving into it, you're looking for stuff that doesn't take you off the game, like Anderson splits or like Quintana's success against the Brewers, which kept me off the two that I was seriously considering today.
I know having you on this show is going to be so helpful, so enormously helpful from every aspect of gambling, not just finding the edges, but just betting smarter and being smarter with you. I'm so excited. I just love having you on the show, Teddy. All right, let's move on.
You flatter me, Jimmy. You flatter me every day, man. I really appreciate the kudos. But, I mean, I'm just a guy. The only thing I've done is I've been able to eat for 20 years betting, here in Vegas. So I guess that's a skill. But it's not like I have skills that other people don't have or can't get or anything like that. Every lesson I've learned, I probably learned the hard way, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's how it works. But having you here every day, every morning is going to be just so helpful for us. Rod Zawacki also says, love the Brewers tonight, liking the Brewers. And then we have a quick question. I do want to go into NCAA football, but our guy Headshot put so much energy into our chat. And if he has a question for you, then I'll stop everything and ask it. He says, Teddy, what do you think about the under? And we've seen a lot of people making moves towards this under. Says, if the Bears don't put up a lot of points, can easily limit the points Aaron Rodgers puts up. Headshot says, Teddy, what do you think about the under in tonight's football game?
So if I had to play a total for the game, I would play the under. That being said, I'm not really that close to playing the under because I think there's a decent chance we're going to see some quick strike touchdowns in this game. The Bears defense can score. The Bears take shots downfield. The Packers take shots downfield. And when I'm betting an under in an NFL game, I don't want defenses that are going to score, and I want a whole lot of dink and dunk on offense. So it looks to me, again, my handicap of the game is that the Bears defense is the best unit of the 4 units on the field. So I'm already leaning in that direction. But to actually pull the trigger on a separate wager for the under, for me, I'm just not willing to do that because of the big play potential for both of these squads. So lean that way, and maybe in-game we'll get there, especially if they get if the first quarter is a little bit ping-pong and then we see the offenses move early. I expect the adjustments to come. So I might bet a higher total if the game starts explosive in game. But pre-kickoff, I'm not betting anything on the total.
Not making a move on the total, yeah. And I'm just going to sit back with a beverage and enjoy. That's how I'm going to handle this game and just study. I want to talk about a couple looks from our guys, Big Boss and Ragu, they gave us on the show. First off, they're both, and we talked about it yesterday, they're both very, very into Wake Forest. We've been getting it from every angle. Everybody thinking that Rice is going to get hurt here, like in Wake Forest, team totals overs. Is that, and doubling up first half, full game. They're all over that. Let me just get up all of their action that they dropped for us on the show yesterday. Some very, very interesting stuff. And we got a ton of stuff coming in from our chat. So I want to talk to you about a ton of different looks here on the card. But Big Ragu saying Wake will give Rice a lot of issues. Run the hurry up. No time to adjust and prep for. Liking Wake Forest. Is this a slam dunk move that, not slam dunk, I shouldn't use that term. Is this a bet that has a high chance of cashing?
It's not a bet that I'm going to make. And it just comes down to the simple the simple fact that Wake Forest isn't the type of team that I'm comfortable laying 3 scores with on the highway, even against Rice. And you say, well, what's Wake's interest level for this game? And I know what they have. They ran 105 plays last week. Right? In theory, they should move the ball at will against a Rice defense that isn't very good and spent all summer focusing on Army last week. So conceptually, I'm with you. I certainly don't want the home dog in this game. But in a limited, again, when you're not betting everything, when you're sorry, I'm going to cut some of this stuff. This is a game to me that hits the cutting room floor every time because Wake defensively is not a squad that I trust to lay this price. Do you trust Wake to get the stop when they're up 22 in the fourth quarter and Rice is going, garbage time touchdown? I don't trust Wake to get that stop. It's just too high. That's my bottom line. If this number is where it's supposed to be, and let's not forget, Rice covered by 2 TDs, more than 2 TDs in week 1. Wake didn't. This isn't as big a game for Wake as last week's game was. So they should roll. I'm not going to play it.
Let me tell you Big Ragoo's plays from our last night's show, the Pick Six show, and tell me which one of them you like the best. So we've already talked about Wake Forest, but he's on Vandy plus the points. He's on Clemson. He's on Army plus 22 and the Iowa over in the game. Iowa, I believe that's Rutgers, Iowa, on the over. What of those plays do you like the best?
There's 2 of them that I would have interest in. I'm interested in Army plus. I don't think this is a full focus game for the Wolverines. I don't love the play, but in a total that low, and if Michigan is focused, Army's not going to score and it's going to be a problem. But I'm not convinced that the Wolverines are going to be fully ready for the task at hand. So Army could hang around there. But I definitely like Clemson over A&M. That's one that absolutely stands out to me. A&M, people forget. They're like, oh, it's 2-point game, missed 2-point conversion. It was. After 3 quarters, Clemson was in control of that game. And what happened, they were up by 15 going into the fourth. They were up by 15 in the fourth. And what happens? That was Trevor Lawrence's first start against a Power 5 conference school. They were on the road, and things got weird in the fourth quarter. That happens in college football. That was last year. Clemson was in control of that game. Clemson should be in control of this game. And Kellen Mond, the M is for mistakes. Dude, the guy continues to make these throws that just make you scratch your head. And you say, what defense is capable of scoring, scooping and scoring? Can Clemson have a non-offensive touchdown? Because if there's one thing you want to handicap, college football, NFL both, you find the teams that score the non-offensive touchdowns, boy, they're really good bets. They're going to cover 75 to 80% of the time. Okay. And Clemson, going into the game, is the type of team we expect. They have a solid shot of scoring a non-offensive touchdown in this game. Whether it's a Mond mistake, whether it's that defense can score and their special teams can score. And anytime you get a cheap touchdown without the offense having to do it, it goes a long, long way towards covering the number. I think Clemson can do that. I don't think A&M can. I think the focus is fully there for Clemson this year. I don't think that A&M can match that. And Trevor Lawrence a year ago was pretty green. Now he's a national championship winner. I think Clemson's going to roll. I could only take the Tigers minus in this one. Backing
or believing in Clemson here. Okay, I love this. I'm going to keep doing this. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, these are DJ Big Boss's looks from the Pick Six show last night. Let me know which ones jump out at you as something you like. And we already know that the Texas A&M Clemson under is a look that Boss likes. I'll just give you his place. Okay, Texas A&M Clemson under 64. Arkansas Ole Miss is his 2-unit play under 50.5. I know there's been a big market move and he didn't get the best number. He's leaning Hawaii and he likes LSU minus 6.5. What plays jump out at you there?
I don't like any of them. I don't hate them, but none of them were plays that I was particularly close to betting. The LSU-Texas game is definitely worth talking about for a few minutes. It's a fascinating ball game. I understand LSU is loaded. And the people that I talk to who I respect say, if you're looking for a future in college football, it's not Alabama and not Clemson. LSU is that team. And it makes sense to me. The Tigers are that good, loaded, both sides of the football, returning talent, et cetera, et cetera. All that being said, that is priced into this number. The respect for LSU in this number is extraordinary, especially, we all know now about Tom Herman as a dog. All right, it started at Iowa State. He was the offensive coordinator at Iowa State. And then he moved to the offensive coordinator job at Ohio State. And then he got the head job at Houston, and then he got the head coaching job at Texas. During that span, there has been no coach/coordinator who's even close to Tom Herman's track record as a dog. And you say some of it's random, some of it's chance. Yes, of course. But it's still going on. It's 6, 7, 8 years later. When was he at Iowa State? Like 2011? I mean, this has been an extended stretch. And then you say, who's got the better quarterback? All right. Joe Burrow looked good first week. I'll take Ellinger over just about anyone. Ellinger's got, how many times have we seen that kid show incredible heart for the Longhorns, making plays with his feet, making tough throws with his arm. Talent-wise, Texas they can't compete with LSU. LSU's got more talent. You see it when you grade out the personnel. I like Texas' heart. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they hang around in that ball game. And Herman's track record as an underdog is not one that I'm going to step in front of. As you've seen, that total, that the LSU got bet up to 6, and then now we've seen a little bit of buyback. So the wise guys are saying 6 is high enough. LSU may be better. They may win the game. I don't think they're going to win it easily. And I would take Texas plus before I took LSU minus.
Yeah, a lot of people backing Texas as well. Paco Healy, Texas. Big Joe the Capper liking Texas as well. Okay, here, let's go with Trotwam. Our guy, Walter Trotwam. He has got a 2-unit play with Hawaii. We know that that's not something that you're too into, although you do like the over in that game. He also is on Bowling Green plus 24, Ohio plus 5.5, and the USC over 45. What do those plays jump out at you?
Okay, so let's talk Ohio for a minute against Pitt, because that's probably the group that I would look at. But I have to understand why everyone wants to lay points with Hawaii against Oregon State. Hawaii is not way better than Oregon State, and Hawaii's like they're not going to have an edge in the trenches. I see a touchdown fest there. I don't see either team stopping the other, and that makes me very concerned about laying points in that one against a Pac-12 school. The Bowling Green Kansas State game is real interesting to talk about. Good angle for the two teams. When both teams scored 45 plus the first game, you're like, oh, it should be a shootout the second game. No, you go back and look at the database. 19-6 to the under when both teams are 45. I think it's I forget it was 45 or 42 plus in that first game. So that trends well to the under. This Kansas State team, let's not forget, okay, Bill Snyder's gone now. So all of these Kansas State can cover as double-digit dogs, and Kansas State's going to play up or down to the level of competition. That ends with Bill Snyder. I haven't pulled the trigger on it. I might, but I haven't done it yet. But I'm very tempted by the Wildcats in this game. I think they might run BG out of the gym. I know it's a field, but my impression is that this version of Kansas State isn't going to take their foot off the gas pedal when they have a 2 or 3 touchdown lead, the way the Snyder's teams did. So I would look in that direction. Now I've already forgot which game you asked me about, Jimmy. The one that I'm like, oh, that's the one I have an opinion on.
USC over the Ohio Pitt.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you're throwing these games. I'm trying to put them all in my head. But Ohio Pitt. So every week I sit down. My friend Brent Crow. He's been in he was in Vegas when I got here. Now he lives back in Alabama. But every week, me and him sit down and go through every game on the card. And that's like my, as we spend usually 2 hours, and that's my one guy who I like to focus with, and I trust his info. And me and him we sit down once a week and really go through stuff. And his first comment, he's like, why is Pitt even favored in this game? I don't argue with Ohio there. Ohio gets up for big games. Pitt last week, that was a big loss and a disappointing loss, and a loss that stood out to me as a Pitt Panthers team that wasn't that good last year and might not be that good this year. And, the Bobcats take these games seriously. They can play with the big boys. I would definitely look at the Ohio U side. That feels like a field goal game to me, not a game where someone's going to blow the other team away.
I like that. Ohio backing Trotwam's Ohio plus 5.5. What do you think of his USC over 45?
No, no, I wouldn't bet that. Not with backup quarterbacks and defenses that can make plays. I wouldn't. I'm not betting it the other way by any stretch of the imagination. But total wise, that's one that I would not even get involved with. I would expect relatively conservative game plans. I'd expect a lot of running, and I do believe in that Stanford defense at least a little bit. So from a total standpoint, it's low enough. The total's where it should be. Pass for me.
Let's talk about another total here. Our guy Noli knows, beloved low bagger, incredible capper, and he loves unders. It is his mission to make unders great again. And he is on Eastern Michigan, Kentucky, under 54. Eastern Michigan, Kentucky. What do you think of the under there?
That makes a ton of sense to me. That's a good one. I mean, that's one that absolutely stands out as a potential under. Kentucky offensively is not what they were last year. We saw them have a good game last week. I'm not convinced that they're going to do it twice in a row. Eastern Michigan's a feisty little squad, but there's not a lot of big play potential. They're not going to have breakaway touchdowns, certainly not against that defense. And it feels like a relatively low-scoring game. I have no problem with that under. It makes sense to me.
Backing that under. Beautiful stuff. All right, let's look at what Big Joe the Capper is on. He is best. He plays that he likes. Now, he's going to be on Texas, but these are his 3 plays right now. Which ones jump out at you? Nebraska, BYU, San Diego State. Those are the 3 teams he wants to back this weekend.
Of the 3, I'll tell you what, I don't want BYU. I think BYU is going to have some problems in Tennessee. And if the Vols have, again, we don't know that they do, if the Vols have one good game, it comes this week, they have a chance to redeem themselves on ESPN against a team that cannot match them size or speed. And that could be a problem for Kalani Sitake. And Sitake may well have lost, he may well be a dead man walking already. Whereas Pruitt is not. They're going to have to pay Pruitt for like 4 more years. He'll be there. Sitake maybe not so much. So that's not one that I love. What were the other 2? I'm sorry. I got to write this stuff down. I need a pen.
No worries. I'm throwing a lot at you. Here we go. Sorry. The Big Joe, Nebraska and San Diego State.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Nebraska and San Diego State both make sense to me. Of the 2, I'd probably look at the Aztecs more than the side. I think the total Colorado and Nebraska makes more sense I like a little bit better than side. But certainly San Diego State is the type of, this is what they do. Rocky Long's teams have done this for a decade now, where they hang tough every time they step up in class against the Pac-12 schools. They put a ton of effort and emphasis into those games. And I know that San Diego State had a very lethargic opener, an opener that made UCLA look good on offense, which is hard to do. But I do believe in that Aztecs defense a lot. And I think they'll grind out enough to keep the game close. When it comes to the other one, and again, you keep telling me, and I keep not writing it down. And now I have the pen, I don't have the paper.
Nebraska.
Nebraska. Oh God. So Nebraska, Colorado is, Nebraska's in a revenge for the crazy loss they had last year. I'm an Adrian Martinez believer, very much so, but I don't trust the Huskers defense enough to lay this price with them, lay more than a field goal with them on the road. Nebraska came into the season power rated sky high, and that power rating didn't take a hit, a significant hit, despite the mediocrity against South Alabama last week. So I'm not convinced that the Huskers are power rated properly right now, but I do think they're better than Colorado. So if I had to play the side in that game, that's the way it would look, and especially given the revenge angle. And that's meaningful revenge. That's a loss that Nebraska remembers and will look to avenge here.
Very, very interesting breakdown. All right, we have more questions coming in from the chat. My guy Scott is asking what you think about the Georgia Tech South Florida under.
So people, I don't know why people are so interested in this game. I've gotten a ton of questions about Georgia Tech, South Florida. Garbage versus garbage, okay? If I'm playing anything, I would play the under. That makes a ton of sense. I don't trust either of these 2 offenses to move the football up and down the field. No way, no how. Obviously, USF shut out last week. They have some issues on the offensive side of the football. And it's not a situation with Georgia Tech that, again, you have a bunch of guys who were recruited to play an option system that are now playing a spread system. And obviously we've seen some of the new guys get on the field, some of the new recruits, but it's going to be a steep learning curve for the Yellow Jackets. And a lot of people that I know are looking at the yard, they moved the ball against Clemson last week. Look at the yardage totals, decent yardage totals. I'm not so sure that yardage equates to what they did against, that equates to what they could do against South Florida this week. I wouldn't argue with the under there at all. I don't trust these 2 offenses to move the football.
Let's talk about our guy Babano's plays. He was worried that you would scold him for getting the 17 with Tulane, not getting the best number. He was concerned about a scolding, but he still likes them at plus 17. What do you think about Tulane here as a big dog?
So from a spot standpoint, it stands. And look, Babano, when it comes to getting the best of the number, me and Babano have been friends, I don't even know, 15 years. I mean, I've known him a long time. Good guy, real good guy. You know.
Love him.
But when it comes to every bet that I scold. It's not like my bets are perfect. Not like my shit don't stink. It does sometimes. Absolutely. We're all going to make way to go, oh, I should have waited. Oh, I should have waited. The goal is not have that be most of your wagers. You know, you have 1 out of 10, you didn't get the best of the number. It's not ideal, but it's not going to kill you. You have 2 out of 10 that you don't get the best of the number. Again, not ideal, but realistic. So it's not unusual or unheard of, even for the best bettors, to have numbers that go, oh, crap, I didn't get the best of it, you know, because you're betting as you see the next market move, but you can't see 2 or 3 market moves down the road, if you understand what I'm saying. So all you can do is say, all right, the market's moving this way now, therefore I better bet now. But you don't know, all right, well, it got to here and now it's coming back the whole other way. That'll happen. You won't get the best of the number every time. Even the best bettors do not do it every time. You want to shoot for 80%. If you're getting the best of the number 80% of the time, you're doing pretty darn good. When it comes to Auburn and Tulane, look, Tulane jumped all over FIU last week. Dominated that first quarter, was 21-0. The yardage was like, 250-0 after 1. And the rest of the game was pretty even. We don't love the spot for Auburn. Is Auburn going to be focused in this ballgame? They're not. We like Willie Fritz the dog. All this stuff makes sense to like the Tulane side. My only concern here, and it is something of a concern for the Tulane side, is that offense going to work against the Auburn's defense? Because Auburn, the Tigers, they are fast, they are strong, and they blow up the line of scrimmage. And I question whether Tulane's offense is going to be able to move the football. I like the under in that game more than I like the side. I certainly wouldn't talk Babano out of that play, but it's not one that I got to the window with or was even close.
Like in the under there, taking notes. Yes, I will ask him, Jamel Wright. Anna Merrick says, Loshak was the cool dad who let us drink in the backyard. Teddy is the strict dad that wants us to succeed, so he browbeats us from a place of love. I love that, Anna Merrick. That is so funny.
It's hilarious. I love it, guys. Thank you. This is, I don't do any shows like this. This is awesome. I love getting the energy from the chat, and I really appreciate your guys' comments. And I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to talk about all these games. This is a good call, Jimmy. Going through the chat and say, here's what this guy likes. What do you think? It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's fun. It's very fun. Well, let's talk about the next game on Babano's card. That is the Florida State Monroe over the total. What do you think of the Florida State Monroe over the total?
I have no opinion on that whatsoever. I really don't. I mean, jeez, it makes sense. Now that you bring it up, it does make a fair bit of sense. Florida State has something to prove on the offensive side of the football. I don't think there's any question about it. And this should be a defense that they can steamroll a little bit. That being said, that Florida State defense was on the field for 100 plus plays last week. And teams that are on the field for 100 plus plays last week tend not to be quite as efficient flying around the football the following week. It does bode well for over. The play makes a ton of sense. It's thanks, Babano. I'm going to look at that today. That's one that kind of went over under my radar a little bit for an over, and it's one that from a does this make sense standpoint, it does. So now we'll take a look and see what we find.
I like it. I like hearing that very, very much. All right, let's close with this very tricky spot that we've already talked about. Jamel Wright, our guy Jamel, wants more info on this wild swing here. And we talked about it yesterday. Syracuse, Maryland. After another 24 hours, do you have more comfort on why the move happened?
Yes, they don't like Tommy DeVito. The word in Vegas that DeVito's a stiff. And frankly, I watched him last year, and he wasn't good. I watched him last week. I didn't watch him last week. I followed the game last week. Wasn't good there either. And when you look at Jackson for Maryland and what they did in week 1, the markets have shown a lot of respect for the Terps. Understandably so. My number came Maryland -1 in that game. So I was surprised to see Syracuse as the chalk initially. They're not the chalk anymore. That being said, if you like the Terps, and in this point spread range, we try not to freak out too much because most games are going to be decided by a field goal and or feel a little more. You don't see a lot of 1 and 2 point decisions in college football. So that from plus 2.5 to minus 2.5, we don't freak about those line moves more than others. But it's the kind of situation where if you lay with Maryland, maybe you look at the money line as opposed to laying the points. This does have the feel of a game that's going to be pretty tight. And both teams, of course, pitched a shutout last week. So the shutout for Syracuse surprised me. Maybe that defense is a notch too better than we thought. The shutout for Maryland, I think, had more to do with their level of opposition than the caliber of that defense.
Oh, very, very, very interesting. What a wild spot that is. There you go, Jamel. Jamel says, thanks, Jimmy and Teddy. Much appreciated. Teddy covers, what a treat it is to have you every morning. And tomorrow, I'll be very interested in how you are going to hammer this NFL card. So I will ask that, but also be talking more about these NCAA spots that you're on. What a treat it is to have you rolling with us, the Low Baggers. We appreciate you very, very much, Teddy. Where can we find you on Twitter?
Hey, I appreciate you guys. This has been a ton of fun. I look forward to doing it again tomorrow. And again, Jimmy, whatever you want to talk about, you want to go MLB, college football, NFL, any sport that I handicap, I'm happy to talk. You can't get me talking WNBA though, because I can't do it. Let alone EPL or soccer doesn't work for me either. It's real simple. You want to follow me on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I really appreciate the follows, and I really appreciate all the kind comments, guys. Thanks so much. Enjoy the games, and good luck tonight.